Hey everybody, good news everyone. I am happy to say that the silver dollars in my quarantine tank here that have been struggling with this seemingly unkillable ick have finally come around the bend and are starting to recover. They do still have a few spots on them, but the spots are very, very clearly going away. They're definitely on the mend and getting better. So I wanted to address a few things real quickly. I don't know how much time I'm going to have here in the fish room tonight, so I did want to shoot this little quick update video explaining that the fish are getting better. But I also wanted to address for all the people that keep telling me how filthy this tank is and how I need to clean it and so on and so forth. Algae is not dirty. And that's what you're looking at. That's algae on the glass. That does not mean this tank is dirty. I'm not exactly sure why the tank has this sort of film appearance on it, why it looks sort of cloudy like that. That could have to do with all the medications and stuff I've been putting in the tank. I know this stuff here is from the ick attack medication. When the water line was right here, the air bubbles from the airstone there were causing it to pop, and all that sort of grungy tarry stuff builds up on the glass. That's from the ick attack, and I will get in there and get that cleaned up in a bit. As far as being able to see into the tank, I do appreciate the fact that I should probably have a little clearer view of the fish when I'm talking about them. However, I didn't intend to talk about these fish. What I intended to do was put them in quarantine for a couple of weeks. When they were done, I was going to go ahead and shoot a video about all of this algae on the glass, and I was going to shoot a video about my melamine sponges and demonstrate how easy it is to get all of that really, really difficult to remove green spot algae off of the glass. And I still am going to do that video whenever we're done with the treatment here. So until then, you're just going to have to deal with the glass looking dirty. But again, it does not mean the tank is dirty. I've done so many water changes on this tank in the last couple of weeks. I've gravel vaxed so many times in the last couple of weeks. There's nothing dirty about the water and the quality of the habitat that these fish are in. In fact, just before I sat down to shoot this video, just so I had a little something to go on, I tested the nitrates, and it's been almost a week. It's been probably 4 days since I've done a water change, and that's where we're sitting on the nitrates. We're probably at 3 parts per million nitrates. Tell me that's dirty water, you know? So stop worrying so much about whether or not these algae is going to affect this fish or not. It's not. They are coming around the bend. They are starting to get better. You can clearly see they're not all white and fuzzy like they were in the last video I shot. And finally, as far as for the people who have been saying that I don't need to run the temperature as high as I do, I would beg to differ on that, because running the temperature as high as I was running it before was not having any effect. So I had to jack the temperature up higher than normal in order to get some sort of effect. And it wasn't until I did that I actually started seeing an improvement in the fish. And furthermore, I will say that if the fish are suffering from the heat, then it seems awfully strange that they all spend all of their time clustered around the heater. I have measured different parts of the tank using a mechanical type digital thermometer. And if I test the water here and I test the water here at this end of the tank, it's a full 2 degrees cooler than it is right near the heater, and yet the fish are huddled around the heater every time I look at them. If they were really being stressed out by the heat, they'd probably be moving away from the heat source and moving down to the cooler end of the tank, and yet every time I see them, they seem to be huddled around the heater like, they're trying to stay warm around the furnace in the wintertime or something. So I'm not concerned about the temperature. I also honestly believe that heater is either registering the temperature exactly where it is, and if you move an inch away from that heater, the water's probably not that warm, or that heater is not displaying an exact accurate temperature. It might be a degree or a degree and a half off or something like that, and so this tank might actually be only 86 degrees, maybe 87 degrees, I don't know, but I've got it set for 90. And every time I've measured, it's come in somewhere between 87 and 89 degrees. And so I'm definitely not lowering the temperature any more than that. I want to keep it well above 85. And if I can, I want to keep it above 88. I want to keep it up towards 90, because it wasn't until I got it up to those temperatures that I started seeing the fish recovering. And again, they just seem to be huddled around the heater like they can't get enough warmth. So all in all, everything in this tank is fine. I don't need to do any maintenance or anything like that on it. We've got very clean water. We've got clean substrate. It's inert plastic substrate for the people that were worried that the substrate is somehow absorbing the medication or something. I suppose there's a possibility that inert plastic somehow interacts with medicine or something, but generally the term inert means it doesn't interact with other stuff. And as far as absorbing it, I really don't understand how plastic would be absorbing medications out of the water or whatever. So I'm not worried about that aspect of it either. Again, everything is just going swimmingly. I had a really difficult strain of ick that the normal treatments weren't working on. That's the whole point of me shooting these videos. I've tried all the regular treatments for ick and it wasn't having an impact. That's why I'm shooting these videos, and that's why I've gone to the extremes of putting a tablespoon of salt per gallon. I've got the temperature up near 90 degrees. I've literally been pouring Ick-X in the tank. I haven't even been measuring it with the cap full. I've been just taking this and just pouring it in the tank, and I'm doing that twice a day. And it wasn't until I went to those measures that I finally started seeing an improvement in these fish. But we are now definitely seeing an improvement in these fish, and within a few more days we're not going to see any more spots on them at all. And within another week after that, I will say that the treatment will have been a success, of course, assuming we don't see any more spots develop on them. As far as having to strip the tank down, everybody that's saying that I should basically nuke this tank when I'm done and strip it out and boil it and burn it and put bleach in it and all that kind of stuff. Ick is a parasite that is host dependent. It cannot live without a host fish. So if I leave this tank empty and I leave it, warm for a solid week with no fish in it, there won't be any ick in it. In fact, by the time the fish have recovered and they're healthy enough for me to take them out of this tank, there also won't be any ick in it. It's dead. That's why the fish don't have ick on them anymore. So once I've wiped it out, then this tank is going to be clean and clear and safe. The only thing I'm really going to do once this tank is, empty and I've got those fish out of there is we're going to shoot that video about getting this green spot algae off the glass, and you don't want to miss that. So make sure you're subscribed, and that way you won't miss that video or anything else I've got coming up. Pretty soon these fish are going to be making their way into my 125-gallon native tank, and hopefully everything will be fine from there, and we can talk more about this particularly resistant strain of ick again later in some other videos. But I'd like to hear your opinion about if you've ever had a strain of ick that just took extreme measures to deal with. But that's what I've apparently dealt with, but I have gotten on top of it, and I'm happy about that. So thanks for watching this one. Make sure you're subscribed. As I said, you don't want to miss anything I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me, and I will see you real soon on the next one.